Hello and welcome to this video on how that wooden barrel that stores your wine, whiskey or any other beverage of choice imparts a vanilla flavour. Placing your homebrew or wine into a wooden barrel is somewhat similar to putting it into a Schrodinger's box. It is simultaneously turning into something great and becoming, at best, vinegar. You won't know until it's opened, a long time later. One thing that you are hoping for is that the barrel will impart a vanilla-like flavour. The question is how the mysterious inside workings of the barrel create this vanilla flavour. After all, the wood does not taste very much like what comes out, and there are certainly not pixies in there turning it into this. The reason we see this outcome is both simultaneously straightforward and complex. The whole process starts with lignin. Lignin is something that is a material that is in just about every bit of plant matter. It surrounds all plant cells. Since barrels are made from wood, they are made from at least partly plant cells. It's largely lignin and cellulose, lignin being the important part here. Because of their role in cell walls, and especially in wood, they tend to lead to things being quite rigid, which is why barrels are used the way they are. The role of lignin is to fill in the space between the cells and the structure between cellulose. This again is particularly important and makes it very prevalent in the wood that's used for wood barrels. In the barrel itself, the lignin is exposed to a wide range of oxidizing products. This includes sugars, alcohol, phenolics, and more to some extent. These are important as they allow the lignin to be broken free from the wooden barrel and react. Once lignin is free and exposed to oxidization reactions, we can see it undergo a conversion into vanillin. This reaction is when a hydrogen is gained for the lignin molecule. These are the lignin molecules that have been broken free from the wood structure as a whole. Importantly, the wood to a certain extent does need to be stressed somewhat for this to happen. This can happen from things like charring, heat causing the size of the barrel to change, a chemical stress from the contents of the barrel, movement of fluids in and out of the wood, and more. All of this will cause at least some of the lignin, and certainly weaken the wood enough, that the lignin is freed. This is why you get some vanilla flavour, but not a lot. Well, or at least not a lot by comparison to the semi-synthetic pathways that use wood to create vanillin, and that's an important comparison to make here. Chemically speaking, largely, the same process was used commonly to make synthetic vanilla flavour. Later, it was refined and modified. The process itself uses a brown liquor, a byproduct of making paper, and this then leads to the lignin being converted via a similar process but often using catalysts instead to create the vanillin. This is responsible for about 15% of the production of vanilla. This is also another advantage to it, as it is arguably a sustainable and useful industrial byproduct, something that is already in high demand but can't be met. The only, let's say, questionable element to it is that the catalyst used is a copper product. This does cause oxidation, and then we get the results as mentioned. Hopefully, this has explained what it is that storing your beverage of choice into a barrel is doing, how it imparts a vanilla flavour. It's not necessarily complex in and of itself, it's a fairly straightforward chemical reaction, but understanding that it is happening can be difficult. After all, where do all the necessary precursors come from? What are they? How do you separate them out from the mess that is the wood? And finally, how do you ensure they react the way you intend? The last one is much harder to control for than the others, and why most often you get variability from season to season with things like wine, whiskey, and so on. Different batches, different outcomes. Thank you for watching this video. If you have found it interesting, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Please do post any comments, questions, or suggestions you have below.